Cubs fans, this is a 5-minute excerpt from an interview that I did with Jordan Wicks. Really fun one. Jordan's an awesome, awesome guy. Really good conversation. And I want to encourage you to go watch that entire interview on January 29th. We talk about a lot of things. We talk about the outlook of the 2025 Cubs. We talk about his program that he's been working on this offseason, what's led him to losing 20 pounds. We talk about his golf game with Justin Seal. We talk about just about everything under the sun, including one of the most important things of why he considers himself such a successful, not only person in life, but person on the baseball field. You'll find out what that is when you watch the full episode, the full interview of me and Jordan Wicks here on the Setup Man. Now, in this 5-minute excerpt, he talks about exactly what you're probably wondering. Why did he get injured so often in 2024? He keys in one thing of why he believes there were so many injuries, and really just such a significant injury, especially with the oblique, and what he's doing to be proactive in 2025 to not have that happen again. And that is extremely necessary for the Cubs' success this year. After Steele, Tyone, and Imanaga, there's a ton of question marks, not just from a performance side, but from a health side. If Matthew Boyd is healthy, his performance will probably be there. And for that reason, there's a guy that you can rely on. But can you rely on him? Javier Assad, he was up and down all season long. Colin Ray, do you really want to rely on him to be a starter on this team? So if Jordan Wicks can be healthy and get that ball every 5 days or every 6 days, depending on how the Cubs format their rotation, that could be a huge lift for this team, especially the guy that you saw in his very first 6 major league outings, a 3 ERA. Even if he's got a 350 to 375 ERA in the back of that rotation, that's a huge lift for this Cubs starting rotation. So let's hear what Jordan has to say here, and let's watch the entire episode on January 29th. Last year, I got to imagine the frustration. You know, you've come out with just a ton of probably self expectations, I would imagine, after, coming up in 23 and showing your
Mhm.
stuff. And then after, maybe the first 4 weeks, you end up going down with the forearm issue. You're out for 5 weeks, come back, pitching 2 games. Now you're out with an oblique injury for 3 months. And I looked at your college career going into the minors too. It didn't look like you had any really major injuries. So, I mean, was that just a mental game for you of having to sit out as long as you did?
Yeah, it was the toughest year of my career for sure. The most injury time obviously I've missed in my career to this point. I think one of the tough parts is I felt like I was really starting to hit a groove. Even coming back from the forearm deal, I felt like I was throwing the ball really well and I was in a groove. Um, and then you miss like 2.5 months with that oblique, and it's really difficult to get back on track there. The thing I feel like that kind of threw it off the rails is it's baseball is a hard enough game without doing the start and stop of playing hurt playing that's tough for your body to get into that rhythm of all right, I'm out here, I'm doing this, especially like me, I was blessed before that last year where I hadn't really dealt with any major injury stuff like that. And so that was a tough thing for me to kind of figure out. Okay, this is what I need to do to coming back, this is what it looks like, and all those things. And part of where I messed up at the end of last year was coming back off of that 2.5 months down with the oblique. Was like I felt like I was trying to fix 7 things at one time,
Mm.
pitching wise. Like I'm trying to, this isn't working, this isn't working, and I'm trying to, fix all of this stuff at one time. And where everybody else is in mid-season form, so it kind of looked at to me like, it's kind of like trying to catch a moving train while you're running. You're trying to run and jump on at the same time. It was definitely difficult, but I think I believe everything happens for a reason. And, my thing is I always try to take something from even the negatives in the career. So I look at it and I go, okay, had a rough year last year. What do we need to fix going forward? Like, what can I take from it and learn and move forward? And for me, it was, getting my body back to a position where it needed to be. The off season before, I feel like I messed up a little bit as far as like I wanted to add strength, try and add velo, do all this stuff to put me in a good position, and I don't feel like I kept up with the other things well enough, like the other pieces that go into staying healthy. because it's not just strength. It's,
Yeah.
all of these little things that go into it. And so for me this offseason, it was a lot better. We did a lot better job of, understanding the cardio aspect, the core strength, Pilates, all that sort of stuff, and kind of coming up with a well-rounded plan as opposed to, I'm going to add, X amount of strength and, that's going to be the fix. Because obviously it wasn't.
So since you brought up velocity, I looked something up here. In 2023, you had 4 pitches at 94 miles an hour or higher. In 2024, you only threw 11 more innings in 2024. Guess how many pitches you threw at 94 or higher?
Oh man, I'd probably say closer to probably like 45 or something like that.
You're close, 52. Very good guess.
Yeah,
Very good
yeah.
guess. So, with all the talk now of like velocity is causing injuries,
Hmm.
and even just equating it to the golf game, right? Of just
Yeah.
not trying to swing out of your shoes. Do you feel like that contributed to the injury? And should we expect to see more of 2023 Wicks where it's, hey, I'm going to be sitting 92, 93 most of the time, or are you going to try to incorporate the higher velocity with just better training?
So part of me thinks, and I understand this because, people didn't see me in 2023 before I got up there.
Mhm.
But the velocity of 24, at least toward the front end, is more normally around where I'm at. Like I more normally
Oh,
hover that 93 range.
okay.
When I came up in 23, toward the end of that year, I my velocity really tinkered off toward the end of that year, and we relied on the sinker a whole lot more to get
Okay.
ground balls and just generate contact and stuff like that. So for me, it's almost kind of trying to use that blend, of, keeping the velocity. And for me, it's about, staying healthy. It's about putting my body in the best shape that I can, and, whatever velocity we have that day, because your velocity is going to fluctuate so much throughout, the season. Whether, you're not going to throw as hard in Wrigley in April as you might in, Wrigley in July. Like there's a lot of factors that go into stuff like that, whether it be, the cold or whatever it is. But, I'm hoping to just, my goal is just to stay, healthy, and wherever the velocity's at, it is. And, I mean, I feel great. I feel a lot better right now than I have in January's in the past. And, we've added a lot of things into my routine to hopefully, allow for that longer season and to stay healthy, through that whole ordeal.
Next up, Jordan talks about his off-season program. Make sure you watch that entire episode on January 29th. We'll see you there, Setup Nation.